Good evening, everybody. This is Anna, and we are on a money date. How is everyone doing? Playing you a little bit of music. This is Coco Jumbo by Mr. President. On the ground. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started in just a minute. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. When you pop it in the chat, please say hello, introduce yourself. How is it going? It's money date. It's Wednesday. That's what we do here. Thanks for joining me, guys. How is your week so far? Did you enjoy the solar eclipse? Did you actually get to watch it? You know, I didn't, but I've got so many friends on Facebook, so I just asked everybody to share some pictures, and that was it. By the way, I'm using a microphone today, so I want to make sure that you can hear me. Thanks to everybody for joining. Hi, Victor. Hi, Acharna. Hi, Peter. Can you guys let me know in the chat, please, that you can hear me? I don't want to be talking if you can't hear me. Somebody, thank you very much. I think you can by just saying. So, it's Wednesday. We talk about money, and we come here for a fun event. And I would like to start by talking about a quote. I usually start with a quote because that's something that always motivates and drives me. And quotes have a lot of meaning. So how about we do this? I'll share a quote and we can discuss. And then I've got an exciting topic for you. Are you the richest man in Babylon? Man or woman, I shall say. Okay, so here we go. The quote for today is, money is plentiful for those who understand the simple rules of acquisition. Okay, now the reason I'm bringing this quote up is because, and I think you probably guessed by the title, but this is, I want to make sure you can see it. This is the book that I am having a discussion on today. If you have not read this book, it's a must. It's actually pretty interesting. So, The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. So we'll be discussing some of the principles of what he talks about in this book. And so the quote is actually from this book. So the focus on what we're talking about today is money acquisition, okay? Because there's so much discussion out there about saving, right? But nobody really talks about how to make money, right? And that is what I want to emphasize on. Because your quickest and fastest and most surest way to prosperity is when you can make more income, okay? I'm gonna circle back to talking about this book. But first, for those of you who just joined, thanks so much. And I don't know if you have been on a money date before, but I wanna make sure that we discuss what money date is actually all about. Once a week on Wednesdays, we get together here to discuss an interesting topic, but it's not just that. It's also a point in time when we check in with ourselves to see how things are going with our personal finances. And there's 3 questions that we ask ourselves every Wednesday. And these questions are, how much money did we make? That's number 1. How much money did we save over the last week? And how much money did we spend, right? So make, spend, save. Those are the questions that you need to be tracking. Now, there's a whole other setup for us discussing how these things work in your personal finances. And that's what I always advocate for. Because if you can get a control of those 3 things, then you can focus on making more income. Because I know you guys are looking at me and thinking, what is she talking about? How can I possibly make more money? I already work full-time, 24/7, right? For some of us, it feels like. But there's a way, right? And so I advocate for getting your basics under control, okay? In previous money dates, we talked about all of these areas, the spending, right? The tracking of your spending, understanding your basic lifestyle, and you know, having a savings goal. So money dates are designed to help you check in, right? I used to do this by myself, right? Every week I would get together, well, not by myself, but I would get ready and then I report back to my husband and say, this is how we've done. But I figured, you know, why not? Why can't I share this with you guys and encourage you to do the same? So if this is the first time you're watching, I need you must, right? If you want to have success, you must get these basic things under control. Get your spending under control, understand where everything is going, understand how and what income is coming from, where it's coming from, right? And then you need to create a savings goals for yourself, because it's not going to happen on its own. So as you pop into a chat, please drop a comment and say hello. Make sure you can hear me. If you can't hear me, just let me know, because I don't want to be talking here without you hearing. I'm testing a new microphone today. So I want to get into talking about this awesome book that I think everybody should read. But before I do that, one of the things we do on Money Date is share our wins. So what is the win that you have for this week that has to do with your finances? It really could be anything, because if you think about life, everything requires money. It's like there's no way. You can't even, like, if I leave my office right now, I have to figure out how to get home. In order to get home, I need to get in the car and drive. In order to do that, I need to put gas in my tank. Anyway, it's a silly example, but money wins is something that I like to point out to myself. Okay, and I'm asking you the same question because I want you to start appreciating what you're doing, right? You're working hard. I'm asking you to track certain things. I'm asking you to have goals, but I need you to start appreciating what you have. And so when you're winning, you need to start recognizing that. That is the goal. My money win for the week. So from last week till this week, from last Wednesday to this Wednesday, I had acquired 3 new clients. So that's, I actually had a trip back to the East Coast. I had to spend time with my family, and then obviously do a little bit of work. So that is my money win, but that obviously translates into earning more. But it could be anything, right? Maybe you figure out a way. I was talking to a friend earlier today about what's the best strategy to help cook meals in the evening, right? And so we're talking about, what she's come up to do and things like that. So it really is anything, but I need you to start appreciating. So share your comments. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining. Okay, I recognize that because it is important. Once you start understanding and being appreciative, everything changes. You start seeing things from a different angle. All right. Well, what I want to talk to you about today is actually this cool book that I think everybody needs to read. And so a little bit about what it covers, and then my take on it, as I call this, money hacks for the 21st century, right? Because this book was written in 1920, right? And it's a bit of an old type of language, so it's a little bit harder to read, but it still has awesome points. So it's a story about a man named Arcad, okay, who had craziest desire to get really, really wealthy, and he was able to accomplish. And so he lived in a city called Babylon. And then one day, the king of that city approached him and said, look, a lot of people are struggling. We cannot meet our ends. Can you teach us, right, how you've amassed amount of wealth and what can everybody else do? And so as this book laid out, it talks about the 7 principles of what Arcad has practiced. And it just blows my mind when I look at this, as this was written in 1920s, how much similarity there is in today's environment, okay? I'm not gonna go through the book principle by principle, but I will be covering this going forward for the next 7 days on our daily juices, because I think it's neat to talk about each of the principles daily so that you can actually process and understand. But I'm gonna give you my 3 takeaways, right? My 3 money hacks that you can apply in today's environment in the 21st century that we live. That's what I'm gonna do, all right? So, but the book uses, another interesting thing, it uses parables, right? To explain sort of the basics of money management. And that's what I advocate for you guys, okay? Because I had a client, it was interesting. I had a client, it was on Monday. I had a client meeting, and this guy came in, and he was interested in financial planning services that I had to offer, and we started talking, so just sort of initial conversation. And he started asking really complicated questions, like, for example, what is a real estate investment trust? and how can I set up an LLC? And that's pretty high level stuff, which is fine to do because he was interested in investing in real estate. But as the conversation went on, I actually understood that he did not have his basic stuff down. He had no savings to start with, and after a maybe 10-minute conversation, he was not tracking his spending. He didn't have a place to live. And so I'm looking at him thinking, okay, how can you be thinking about this complex investment strategies when your basics are not under control? So I actually had to tell him and said, look, you are going to benefit from advice on getting the basics down first, and then we can build on you investing in real estate and creating those sophisticated structures so that you can amass your wealth. So let's get into it. So here are my 3 money hacks for the 21st century. Okay, are you guys ready? As you happen on, thanks for watching. Appreciate everyone. Please let me know in the chat. Type in a couple of words. What are your money wins for the week? I really want to know because it's not fair. I always share mine. I don't get to hear what you all have to experience. If it was a loss, let me know because there's always a positive side. It's a lesson, okay? If you haven't understood what I'm asking yet, it's a lesson that I'm trying for you to understand, right? A win is only when you understand what you did wrong, okay? What you did good. So let's dive in. So here's the first money hack, okay? Stay broke, okay? This is I guess a slang way to say is to live beneath your means. I know, and you might be thinking, this is very simple, Anna. Yes, it is. So how many of you are actually doing it? How many of you? If we had to raise our hands, I don't think that that's going to be a pretty big number if I had to count you. So, it really comes down to this, understanding your lifestyle, okay? Understand where everything is going. Understand that if you are here at this point and you want to go somewhere else, right? You want to have a bigger house, or you want to have a different apartment, or whatever it is, right? You need to know. This is the point, right? And then looking at what your resources are, it's always spending less than you make. And so one of the lessons that Arcot is teaching in this book is this. For every 10 coins you put in thy purse, take out all but 9, okay? So basically what he's saying is that you gotta spend less than you make. Now, I am not the type of advisor who talks about, okay, count every penny, right? Clip coupons. I do not do that for myself, okay? And so I shouldn't be advising you to do. But what I teach is actually having a system that allows you to track things on a more passive basis, right? And I'm talking about my money flow setup, okay? Now, if you don't have that yet set up in place, just know what your fixed expenses are. Know what your variable expenses are. What's left at the end of the month, right? That's it. This is what I'm talking about. Now, lesson number 2, or my hack number 2 is income is king. Remember, it's not cash that's king, it's income. Because you can run out of cash, you cannot run out of income. So in today's environment, how does that translate into the modern world? Well, you guys all heard of term side hustle. So my question to you is, how many of you have a side hustle on? What are you guys doing on the side to generate additional income? Okay, and again, it may be coming back to a point I made earlier is, well, you may not have time in your day to do more of that. But internet today allows you to work anywhere. You can go drive Uber for a few hours in the evening or in the morning, whenever whenever you have free time, right? Do you have a spare room you can rent out? What about all the junk you have in your house that maybe you can sell? There's different ways that you can generate income. But the idea is that the more income streams you have, right, the better it is for your overall financial well-being. And the reasons are because you can, first of all, savings. You can do a lot more savings with additional income. Or maybe pay off debts, right? Hi, Ann, thanks for joining. Maybe pay off debts. I don't know, maybe you want to travel, right? And that's what you've been saving. So having your basics covered is one, but additional income streams is what's going to get you there. And you know, if financial planners, and I'm going to a conference in a couple of days in Texas, financial planning conference, and we as financial planners always talk about what is the next big investment. Well, I don't, but that's how financial planners perceived. What is the next big investment you can make, right? Or what is the insurance policy that I need to make? But if you step back and take a look at your biggest reserves and your biggest power resides in your personal ability to earn income. That is the biggest, that's your wealth if you think about it. Yes, you're going to accumulate some dollars or pennies and whatever it is in your savings and investment account. But if you can't earn those, how are you going to accumulate that? So I advise you is to look at and assess what kind of skills do you have, right? What can you do on the side? And I'll give you an example, right? Besides my personal finances business, right, where I meet with clients one-on-one, I actually started teaching courses. And so I have actually 2 courses that I released that I don't have to put any more time into, and that's something automatic that happens on the side for me. This is just an idea, right? I can always go drive Uber or rent a spare room in a house, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put some of my skills that excite me into work. So assess what you have. How can you earn that extra income, okay? Thanks so much for joining. I haven't seen anybody post any wins yet. I suppose you guys doing okay. All right, and then number 3, hack number 3, save to invest, not just to save. I'm gonna repeat this again because it's a bit of a weird wording, but save to invest, not just save, right? I do advocate, again, money dates are all about understanding where you're spending, where your income comes from, and then saving. But I don't want you just to save and put money in the savings account, okay? You need to have a strategy. So, and remember, as I talked about making extra income, right? So if you have extra streams of income coming in, imagine how much more or how much faster can you get to saving actually big chunks of money so that you get your goals at 10x rate, right? At 10x speed, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, paying off your debts at 10x speed or 10x rate. So again, it comes back to what kind of skills do you have, right? How can you use those skills to generate extra income? And as I was reading this book, right, I mean, I've read it a number of times and thinking about, okay, what are some of the best points that we can come up with? I challenge you guys, right? I challenge you to think about what is it that you want out of your finances, right? What is it that you want in life? And if you can master the basics, then that's probably the key to success that you can achieve. It's a must read. I just thought of something. I have this book in PDF format. I'm gonna post it in comments, and you guys are welcome to look at it. But you know, my last comment here is I challenge you to not overthink your money. I challenge you not to overthink your finances because they're not complicated, right? Don't be like my client who came in asking me all these super fancy questions and using crazy fancy words when in reality he didn't have his basics down. Don't be like that, okay? Think about how you can start making more money. That's gonna solve all of your problems. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what questions you have. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. I'm gonna play a little bit of music for you. I like that. So hopefully you liked Mr. President Coco Jumbo. I'll see you guys next week, and tune in as I'm discussing this book, all of the 7 cures, over the next week into my daily juice. Take care. Thanks for joining. I'll post the link for the book here in just a sec. Bye, everyone.